Good morning everybody, welcome back to cilinixfxcapital. I hope you're all doing great and welcome to this new video right here on Ethereum. We're going to do a bit of a Sunday update. I don't think much has happened over the course of this weekend in terms of the fundamentals, nor in the technicals for Ethereum. I mean, Ethereum has been relatively stable, right? Where we're practically at the same price as yesterday. But there are some other things I do think you need to know about regarding next week, so we'll speak about that a little bit. And then obviously the next 24 hours are most likely going to be quite volatile. So we'll talk about the different possibilities there as well. But I do want to, remind you all, I think most of you already are aware of this. But this is a very fundamentals-driven market at this point of time, right? So over the course of this weekend, we haven't really seen any major change in the unrest in the Middle East. My apologies, almost have to sneeze. But we haven't seen any major change. But any major change will affect the markets, right? So at this point of time, Ethereum is relatively stable within the range. It's actually consolidating around the POC as well. So that's I would say good news, but that's also a sign that Ethereum is really waiting for some sort of development of these fundamentals before we're going to get a bigger move, either to fill all of those imbalances here to the upside of the range, which, at least technically, it would seem most likely that we are going back up here, right? Because so far what we've seen is those imbalances. Fundamentally, we know that Ethereum is actually quite strong. We looked at that yesterday. I'll probably cover that again tomorrow. But covering Ethereum's fundamentals every single day, I'm not sure if that's necessary. But there's also a fundamental reasoning and fundamental drive why we would fill these imbalances. And then we also hit the bottom of the range, and we got a pretty strong reaction from that, right? So technically, I would say it's just to be expected that Ethereum will get back up to the top of the range, and then on the higher time frames, it gets quite difficult to determine whether this range is going to lead to a bullish breakout, as we tried to have last week, and we also tried several times, or that it's going to lead to a bearish breakout. I would say, based on the fundamentals and based on my thoughts of the fundamentals, that a bullish breakout is more likely, but that is very much, for the longer term. At this point of time, given the fundamentals, I almost do not dare to talk about a bullish breakout. But that's beside the point, right? I mean, ultimately, technically, it does look most likely that we're going to get up there. But next week, we also have the FOMC meeting on Wednesday, right? So we have the Federal Reserve interest rate decision and the press conference. That very often also causes some major price action, not only during and after, but also before that's happening. Most often we actually see some sort of de-risking. And that potential de-risking ahead of the FOMC, we have already de-risked, but I would say that there is still room to de-risk even further, especially for Ethereum. For Bitcoin, it's a little bit of a different story. But because of that potential de-risking, and at this point of time, a continuation of unrest in the Middle East and no sign of de-escalation, I would still say short term, it is most likely that Ethereum is going to pull back lower, and that we are going to pull something like we did, for example, right here, the 19th of May, right? So that we are going to pull down there, maybe stage some sort of a fake breakdown, I would have to say. But then afterwards that we will be able to reclaim as well, right? Because I do think that when we're talking about the Middle East, de-escalation is coming. And like I said, fundamentally and technically, it already looks most likely that Ethereum is going up there either way. So those are my thoughts. I think that's what you need to know regarding Ethereum this Sunday, and also, a little bit of prep for next week. But that's it. So thank you for watching. Take care and bye.